Hi folks, I'm just going to do a little demonstration video here on how your van actually operates. Now the first thing we're looking at here is the control panel. Now at the moment it's switched on. To switch it off, just press that button and you'll see the green light disappearing. So to switch it on, just press that. Now you can see here that the van's plugged in. We have a little yellow light lit up here to show you that it's plugged in. Now how this actually operates is you can turn this knob here and it'll show you all your different levels. The first level we have is our leisure battery, and it's charging up here 13.5 volts. The next one then is our fresh water, which is empty, and it's showing up an alarm here that it's empty. The next one is our wastewater tank, and you can see that it's 25% full. And the last one then is your engine battery, and you can see there it's at 12.7. So that's really your control panel. So the next thing we're looking at here is your fridge. Now on your left hand side here you can see the main control knob, and at the moment it's off. The first setting we have is on gas. We just switch it on gas here, and you have a yellow light which will show you that it's actually lit. Now if it doesn't light, that'll flash, but at the moment it's lit up there. The next setting then is on mains, and we're plugged in now, so it's actually working. So that's for when you're plugged in, and that'll freeze up your fridge. The next setting is the battery symbol here, and that's showing you that the fridge will actually operate when the van's running off the engine battery. So that's only for when you're travelling, and that comes off just when the engine's running. And the last setting then is an auto. Now when you switch an auto, it'll pick whatever's available. So at the moment now it's going straight on to mains. Now if we plug the van out, it'll go on to gas, and if we start the engine, it'll go on to the battery itself. So the auto feature is very handy. If you're leaving campsites, it'll always revert onto the engine itself, or if you pull into the side of the road, it'll go on to gas. Now what this is here is a heater that heats up this little bar here just to stop condensation. So that's what that is. If your fridge is on, have that switch on, and that'll stop condensation coming on this black piece here, which is metal. Now the last thing you have is your temperature control over here. Now you can see as it goes up, the green lights go up, and that's your max, and then it just turns up and down. So that's your temperature setting there. And the last thing you have then are your locks. Now I'll show you here, somebody's put on stickers on this. You have lock that way, and you have open that way. So the next thing we're looking at here are your heating controls. Now this fan will heat on gas, or it'll heat on electric, on both your blow heating and your hot water heating. So what we have here on this side here is our power selection. Now what these wee symbols are here, this middle one is gas on its own. The first one here is one element of electricity, which is 900 watts. So that's 900 watts of electricity, and the top one is 1800 watts of electricity. So you've two elements, electrical elements inside the heater. So if you want electric only, you can choose either half or full. If you want gas only, you're here in the middle. And if you want to mix them, you can actually have gas and one element of electric, and at the bottom then you have gas and two elements of electric. So you can use both gas and electric. You can use gas on its own, or at the top here you can use electric on its own. Now over here is what we're actually going to do with it. This is the control for the heater itself. Now in this nub here is a 0, which means that the heater is actually off. Now to switch on the heater, the first thing we do is choose hot water. We have 40 or 60. Now if we go on to 40, you'll see the green light lighting up, and that's the heater come on now to heat the water at 40. And if you want 60, then you can go to the top. Now you can see the yellow light comes on here when we're heating water. So if you wanted for normal use, just keep it in 40 degrees for around sinks and stuff. But if you want to have a shower, you can put that to 60 and let the yellow light go out, and you'll have 60 degrees of hot water. So the flashing green light is just a cooling down mode, which is normal, so don't pay any heed to that. That'll go out now in a second, and there it goes. Now what I was saying with the hot water is the yellow light will come on and it'll go off when you get to the desired temperature. So if you set it at 40, when the yellow light goes out, it's got to 40. And the same with the 60, as you go on to the 60, when the yellow light goes out, you've got to 60. So that's what the yellow light's indicating. Now the bottom one here now is the first one here is for heating the van. So we click down to here, we're now going to heat the van. And this is the temperature we're going to set the van at. You can choose between 1 and 5. And normally just leave it on around 3, and it'll regulate itself, and it'll switch itself on and off. The last setting here is heating the van and heating the water at 60 degrees, which is at the bottom. So really what we have heating the van and heating the water. The next one up here is heating the van on its own, which is that one. The next one is the heating, actually the whole heating system's off, and then we have either 40 or 60 of hot water. So we'll just turn this back off again, and over the side is your power selection, what you're going to use to actually heat the van with. Are you going to use electric or gas or both? So the next thing we're looking at here is your frost valve, which is located underneath the bed, underneath the hatch. And at the moment you can see the blue lever is in line with the pipe, so it's actually closed. Now in the frost, that'll actually open itself and drain all the water out of the heater out onto the street. So I'll just show you now how that operates. That's the open position there now, and you can hear the water going out, and that's the closed position there, which is in line with the pipe. So anytime you don't have any water pressure, check that should be in line with the actual pipe itself. Now in the very cold weather, the only thing you can do is switch on the heating in the van if that won't stay closed. And once that heats up, it'll actually close and stay closed. So for winterizing the van, your procedure is to switch off the van so the pump doesn't operate. Open that valve, which is that position there, and open all your taps in between hot and cold, and that'll drain all the water out of your taps, both hot and cold, out through that valve there. Now in the very, very cold frost, like -5s, and the very severe frost, we'd recommend to open your taps between hot and cold, and actually blow into your taps if you can, just to push any excess water out through this valve. Once the van's emptied, to fill the van up again, close the valve in that position, the way it is at the moment. Turn on your van and open your hot taps until you get a free flow in your taps, and that will have filled up the water heater again, and you'll have pressure in all your taps. So you can see where that's located. It's just underneath the bed. There's a little hatch there, and you just move the hatch over on top of it again when you're finished. So the next thing we're looking at here is your freshwater tank itself. There's a cap you can take off here if you want to do a bit of cleaning, but the actual open and close valve here for closing the valve in the bottom of the tank is this one here, and I'll show you here actually in this sticker what we're looking at. So what we're doing here, we're going to open the valve. You give it 2 complete rotations anti-clockwise, which is this way here. Just give it 2 and no more, and that'll drain the tank. And to close it again, just close it till it stops. Now you can see here as well, they have a travelling mode that you can turn the valve 3/4 of a turn, and it'll leave 20 litres of water in the bottom of the tank. So when you're going home, you can do that 3/4 of a turn, and that'll leave 20 litres in the bottom of the tank to get you home. So that's how that operates. And you can just see your pipes and stuff coming in from outside in your filler pipe. Now your hob operates, we have a ignition here for it. You can see it's flashing there, and we just have our ordinary gas valves. And at the bottom here we have our grill and oven. At the moment it's off in the middle, and we can turn our oven on this way and our grill on that way. And you have the igniter here, which ignites inside, and then we have our little light inside the oven itself. So here in the bottom of the wardrobe, you have your main trips for your mains for your 220 volt, which is just in the bottom part of the wardrobe. So we're looking here at your toilet. The toilet flushes the blue button. You just press that and it flushes, and then you have your lever for opening and closing the shutter itself, and then on the side there you'll have little lights coming up as your cassette gets full. So when that goes up to the top, you have to change the cassette's full, you're going to have to empty it. So we're moving on now outside the van. This lever we're looking at is on the right hand side behind the rear wheel, and that is your grey water valve for opening. You'll just open and close that, and that'll empty all the water from your sinks and your showers. And then just behind the driver's door we'll have the compartment with your gas. Now we always use propane, and you can see the nut here. You loosen that clockwise to take it off, and there's a spanner here as well for it. So at the moment, to close off your gas, just turn the knob on the top of the cylinder here, and that's your gas isolator from the van. So moving on to the passenger side, we have our diesel fill here, just behind the passenger door. You have your bonnet pull, which is inside the door, just here on the side of the dash. So you need to open the door to actually open that. That's your bonnet pull. Underneath the passenger seat here, we have our main control box for the 12 volt. And you can see there's all your 12 volt fuses here at the bottom. for all your lights and pumps and bits and bobs like that. So that's where your 12 volt, your main control box lives, is underneath the passenger seat. Moving up along the van, we have our water fill, and you can see your plug-in here at the side as well. And our toilet cassette is in the compartment here at the back. And then at the back then we have our bike rack. So we're just looking at your engine compartment here now. You have your window wash fill here, your power steering fluid, your brake fluid, your engine coolant is in this tank. Your dipstick is down here at the front, just pull that out, and your cap for your oil. And then over this side here, if you're to jump start the van, underneath this plastic lid here, you would put your positive terminal off your jump leads and put your negative onto the frame of the engine, and that'll start your van for you if you ever need to. So moving on here to your dashboard, we have your reverse camera. Now there's two cameras in this van. You have the ordinary one that when you switch on the ignition you'll see far away, and then you'll have your reverse mode. When you go into reverse, it changes onto the other camera to see down the back of the van. So that's your reverse camera. Now your stereo here, what we'd recommend is to clip out the stereo when you're not using it by pressing this button here, and that'll clip out the front of the stereo, and that'll just be sure that you're not draining any batteries with it. So that's just that button there in the corner, so it just clips back in. You can release it here and leave the screen sitting there, and that will that'll save your van from being drained by the radio itself. Now the only other thing we really have that you maybe haven't seen before is the cruise control here. Now the cruise control, it just switches. At the moment it's off there, you can see. Just switch that on and give it one shot up the way, and the van will start cruising, and then you can slow down or speed up the van as you wish then with that. So that's it off, and that's your cruise on, and just give it one shot up the way to initiate the cruise control. So the last thing we're going to look at here is just your aircon. The aircon is this button here, and you can see it illuminates when you light it up. Turn your temperature to cold, and it'll not come on unless the fan's on. So that's just your aircon for cold air in the van.